What if I told you that the being standing in your room right now doesn't threaten your safety? It threatens your entire definition of reality. Have you ever wondered if the angels of your imagination are nothing more than a pious Hallmark fiction? We've romanticized the celestial. We've turned fierce cosmic executioners into porcelain dolls with fluffy wings. But why has our culture and even our churches stripped these beings of their primordial power? Think about the images you see in art. Soft, domesticated. Now compare that to the first words almost every angel says in the Bible. Do not be afraid. They say it because their presence is a violent interruption of the physical world. Are they really guardians watching over your parking spot, or are they the watchers, the Iran documented in the Book of Daniel and the ancient Second Temple scrolls, who oversee the rise and fall of empires with a cold, judicial precision? In this study, we are looking past the veil to see the Hebrew malachim as they truly are, not as spirits of comfort, but as the high-ranking, legally bound agents of a kingdom that does not negotiate. I'm Pastor Najam, and welcome to Simple Verse Deep Truth. Let's go deeper than the myth. Here is the part most people miss, and honestly it used to confuse me too. We treat the word angel as if it's a biological species like human or lion, but in the ancient world that wasn't the case at all. In the Hebrew Bible the word is malach. In the Greek New Testament it's agilos. Both terms mean exactly the same thing, messenger. Messenger describes a job, not a nature. It's a functional office. This is why in the Hebrew text of Haggai 1:13 a human prophet is called a malach. In Malachi 2:7 a priest is called a malach. From a scholarly perspective, we must distinguish between the office and the essence. To call a six-winged seraph an angel is like calling a five-star general a mailman simply because he delivered a letter. The general is a soldier by nature. Messenger is just the task he's performing. Let that sit for a moment. When we collapse all these different, terrifying celestial beings into one generic category called angels, we lose the hierarchy, we lose the scale, we lose the majesty of the divine bureaucracy. Why would God, who is all-powerful, need a staff? Why would the Almighty have a council? In the ancient Hebraic worldview, specifically in Psalm 82 and Job chapter 1, God is depicted sitting amidst a congregation of the mighty. This is the divine council. From the Hebrew text itself, we see different orders that have nothing to do with Hallmark angels. The seraphim mentioned in Isaiah 6, the burning ones, they exist in a state of perpetual incineration, guarding the threshold where God's absolute holiness meets creation. The cherubim, these are the throne bearers. In Ezekiel 1, they are hybrid, terrifying beings with four faces and eyes covering their bodies. They are the apex of created power, the Beni Elohim, the sons of God. These are the high-ranking members of the assembly. Modern humanity rejects this hierarchy not because it's unscientific, but because it implies accountability. If there is a divine council, it means the universe is a governed space. It means there is a king who delegates authority. To truly grasp the magnitude of these beings, we must understand the concept of the shaliach. In ancient Jewish law, a shaliach is an agent who is legally considered to be the person who sent him. When a malach speaks, he speaks with the eye of God. This is why the angel of the Lord in the burning bush is identified both as a messenger and as Yahweh himself. They are the diplomatic corps of the King of Kings. They carry the seal of the emperor. To ignore them is not a mistake. It is an act of treason against the government of God. I want to challenge a very popular idea, the idea that angels are just helpers. If you look at the Torah, specifically in Genesis 18 and 19, two men arrive at the gates of Sodom. We call them angels, but notice their behavior. They aren't there for a blessing. They are there as judicial investigators. In the Hebrew, they are responding to an outcry, a zaka. This is a covenantal outcry invoking divine justice. These beings were sent to audit the city's moral bankruptcy and execute a sentence. Think of the destroyer in Exodus. Think of the angel in 2 Kings 19 who struck down an entire army. In the ancient Jewish perspective, these beings were the cosmic law enforcement. They represent the Lord of Hosts, Yahweh Sabaoth. Hosts is a military term. It means armies. An angel's loyalty is not to your ego, it is to the throne. Furthermore, the Bible describes these beings as the guardians of the nations. In Deuteronomy 32, the Greek and Dead Sea Scroll versions reveal that God divided the nations according to the number of the sons of God. Every territory, every culture has an unseen administrative watcher. This isn't mythology, it is the biblical framework of geopolitical reality. When empires rise and fall, there is a celestial movement behind the curtain. We are not just living in a physical world, we are living in a multi-dimensional battlefield where every action has an eternal echo. We live in a world that has demythologized everything. We think we've explained away the supernatural, but biblical fear, the kind the prophets felt, is what scholars call an ontological shock. It is the sudden, crushing realization that reality is far larger and more structured than we ever imagined. Angels do not exist to prove that God is close. They exist to prove that God is in control. The presence of angels in Scripture is not meant to comfort humanity. It is meant to warn it. It is a reminder that heaven is structured, watching, and not indifferent. The greatest myth about angels is not that they are gentle, it is that they are irrelevant. In the modern era, we have forgot that we are accountable to an unseen order, but the ear and the watchers never sleep. They are recording the deeds of men not as passive observers but as witnesses in a divine court. As we close this study, I want you to look past the porcelain statues. The true biblical understanding of the celestial host isn't less than the myths, it is profoundly more. It is more dangerous, more majestic, and more awe-inspiring. If your eyes were opened at this very moment, you wouldn't see a world of sweet ghosts. You would see a world teeming with the fiery, disciplined machinery of the living God. You would see that you are part of a kingdom that is meticulously organized and backed by the Yahweh Sabaoth. Trade your myths for the majesty of the Word. I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these truths challenged you the most? Does the reality of the divine counsel change how you view your place in this world? I am Pastor Najam for Simple Verse Deep Truth. Stay rooted in the truth, because the truth doesn't just set you free, it invites you into a kingdom that will never end. Peace be with you.